Lieutenant Sarah Chen had always known she was different from the other officers at Naval Special Warfare Command. While her male counterparts discussed weekend fishing trips and football games, she spent her free time studying advanced combat tactics and perfecting her marksmanship skills at the range. What truly set her apart, however, was the intricate dragon tattoo that curved around her left forearm, a detailed piece of art that told the story of her Chinese-American heritage and her grandmother's tales of courage. The tattoo had been a source of whispered comments and sideways glances since her first day at the base. Some officers viewed it as unprofessional, while others questioned whether someone with such decorative body art could handle the serious nature of special operations. Sarah had grown accustomed to the stares and the subtle dismissals, but she never let them affect her performance or her determination to prove herself worthy of the SEAL community's respect. On a humid Tuesday morning in September, Sarah walked into the briefing room for what she believed would be a routine operational planning meeting. The room buzzed with conversation as 37 officers took their seats around the polished conference table. Commander Jake Morrison, a 20-year veteran with multiple deployments under his belt, stood at the head of the room reviewing documents. His reputation preceded him. Morrison was known throughout the community as a no-nonsense leader who valued results over politics and competence over connections. As Sarah settled into her chair, she noticed Captain Williams, a desk officer with limited field experience, whispering to his colleague about her appearance. His voice carried just enough for her to catch fragments, artwork on her arm, and not serious enough for special operations. Sarah maintained her professional composure, though her jaw tightened slightly. She had encountered this attitude countless times before, but it never became easier to endure. Commander Morrison called the meeting to order and began outlining a complex hostage rescue scenario that would serve as the basis for an upcoming training exercise. The mission involved multiple entry points, precise timing, and coordination between ground teams and air support. As he spoke, Sarah found herself mentally mapping out alternative approaches and identifying potential complications that hadn't been addressed in the preliminary briefing materials. 20 minutes into the presentation, Morrison paused and scanned the room. "I need someone to take point on developing the tactical approach for this exercise. This isn't a simple drill, we're testing new protocols that could save lives in real-world situations. Who's prepared to step up and show me what they're capable of?" The room fell silent. Several senior officers exchanged glances, but no one immediately volunteered. These high-visibility assignments often came with significant scrutiny, and failure could impact career advancement. Sarah felt her pulse quicken as she considered raising her hand. She had spent considerable time analyzing similar scenarios and felt confident in her ability to develop an effective approach. Before she could speak, Captain Williams leaned forward with a smirk. "Maybe Lieutenant Chen could handle it," he said, his tone dripping with sarcasm. "I'm sure someone with her artistic sensibilities would bring a creative touch to tactical planning." Several officers chuckled quietly, while others shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The comment hung in the air like a challenge. Sarah felt the familiar heat of frustration rise in her chest, but she forced herself to remain calm. This wasn't the first time someone had used her tattoo as a way to question her capabilities, and she knew that reacting emotionally would only reinforce their prejudices. Instead, she looked directly at Morrison and spoke with quiet confidence. "I'd be honored to take on that responsibility, sir," she said. "I've been studying the scenario parameters, and I believe there are several approaches worth exploring." Morrison's expression remained neutral as he studied her face. "You understand this assignment will be evaluated by senior leadership? There's no room for creative experimentation. Lives depend on getting these protocols right." "I understand completely, sir. I wouldn't volunteer if I didn't believe I could deliver results." The commander nodded slowly. "Very well, Lieutenant Chen. You have 48 hours to develop a comprehensive tactical plan. I want detailed entry strategies, contingency protocols, and risk assessments. You'll present your findings to this group on Thursday morning." As the meeting concluded, Sarah gathered her materials while overhearing fragments of conversation from nearby officers. Some expressed genuine curiosity about her approach, while others made thinly veiled comments about her chances of success. Captain Williams shook his head and muttered something about diversity initiatives as he left the room. Sarah spent the remainder of the day immersed in research and analysis. She reviewed previous hostage rescue operations, studied architectural plans, and consulted with experts in explosives and communications. Her apartment became a command center, with maps and diagrams covering every available surface. She worked through the night, fueled by determination and the knowledge that her performance would be scrutinized more intensely than any male officers would be. The following day, Sarah continued refining her tactical approach while dealing with a steady stream of interruptions from colleagues who seemed more interested in observing her work than offering assistance. Some asked pointed questions about her methodology, while others made casual comments about the pressure she must be feeling. Through it all, Sarah maintained her focus and professional demeanor. By Wednesday evening, she had developed a multi-layered tactical plan that addressed the scenario's most challenging aspects. Her approach incorporated innovative use of available resources while maintaining strict adherence to established safety protocols. She had identified 3 potential entry points that previous plans had overlooked and developed communication strategies that would minimize the risk of operational confusion. As Sarah prepared for Thursday morning's presentation, she reflected on the journey that had brought her to this moment. The tattoo on her arm wasn't just decorative art, it represented her family's history of overcoming adversity and her personal commitment to honoring their legacy through service. Her grandmother had survived the Japanese occupation of China during World War II, demonstrating courage under circumstances far more dangerous than anything Sarah had faced in her military career. The dragon design incorporated traditional symbols of strength and wisdom, elements that had guided Sarah through every challenge she had encountered. When classmates in college questioned her decision to pursue a military career, the tattoo reminded her of her grandmother's teachings about perseverance. When instructors at Officer Candidate School expressed doubts about her physical capabilities, the intricate artwork served as a source of inner strength. Now, as she stood on the threshold of one of the most important presentations of her career, Sarah understood that she wasn't just defending her own reputation, she was challenging assumptions that could affect other officers who didn't fit the traditional mold. Her success or failure would influence how future leaders viewed diversity within the special operations community. The night before her presentation, Sarah received a text message from her younger sister. "Grandmother would be proud of how you're representing our family's strength. Show them what Chen women are capable of." The message brought tears to her eyes and strengthened her resolve to deliver a presentation that would demonstrate her true capabilities. Thursday morning arrived with clear skies and a sense of anticipation that seemed to permeate the entire base. Sarah arrived at the briefing room 30 minutes early to set up her materials and review her notes one final time. As officers began filing in, she noticed that word of the presentation had spread. Several additional personnel had requested permission to observe, including some who had never shown interest in tactical planning discussions. Commander Morrison entered the room precisely at 0800 hours and called the meeting to order. "Lieutenant Chen has had 48 hours to develop a tactical approach for our hostage rescue scenario. Her presentation will be followed by questions and evaluation from this group." He gestured towards Sarah with a neutral expression that revealed nothing about his expectations. Sarah stood and moved to the front of the room, feeling the weight of dozens of eyes upon her. She had rehearsed this moment countless times, but the reality of addressing her skeptical colleagues still caused her heart to race. Taking a deep breath, she began her presentation with confidence and clarity that immediately commanded the room's attention. "The scenario we're addressing presents several unique challenges that require us to think beyond conventional approaches," she began. "My analysis has identified 3 critical factors that previous planning efforts haven't fully addressed." She moved to the large display screen and began outlining her tactical framework with precise, professional language that demonstrated both her technical knowledge and her understanding of real-world operational constraints. As Sarah continued her presentation, the room's atmosphere gradually shifted from skeptical curiosity to genuine engagement. Her detailed analysis revealed a depth of preparation that impressed even the most experienced officers present. She had anticipated potential objections and prepared thorough responses that demonstrated her understanding of complex tactical considerations. The questions that followed were challenging but fair, focusing on technical aspects of her plan rather than personal attacks on her qualifications. Sarah answered each inquiry with confidence and supporting evidence, often providing additional details that hadn't been included in her initial presentation. Even Captain Williams, who had been her most vocal critic, found himself nodding in agreement with several of her tactical decisions. When the formal presentation concluded, Commander Morrison asked the other officers to step outside while he conducted a private evaluation session with Sarah. The room emptied slowly, with many colleagues offering words of encouragement or professional compliments on her thorough preparation. Commander Morrison closed the briefing room door and turned to face Sarah with an expression she couldn't immediately read. The silence stretched for several seconds before he spoke, his voice measured and deliberate. "Lieutenant Chen, I've been conducting tactical evaluations for 15 years, and I've rarely seen such thorough preparation from an officer at your level," he began. "Your analysis identified vulnerabilities that our planning team missed completely. More importantly, your proposed solutions are both innovative and practical." Sarah maintained her professional stance while internally processing the unexpected praise. She had prepared for criticism and challenges, but genuine commendation from Morrison, known throughout the community for his exacting standards, caught her off guard. However, Morrison continued, "I need to address something that's been bothering me since Tuesday's meeting. The comments about your tattoo were inappropriate and unprofessional. I want you to understand that your body art has no bearing on my assessment of your capabilities as an officer." The conversation took an unexpected turn as Morrison revealed his own perspective on the prejudices Sarah had encountered. As someone who had risen through the ranks based purely on merit, he had little patience for officers who allowed personal biases to cloud their professional judgment. He explained that several senior leaders had specifically requested Sarah's assignment to this project after reviewing her previous performance evaluations and academic achievements. "The truth is, Lieutenant, you weren't selected for this assignment despite your tattoo. You were selected because of your proven track record and analytical skills. The art on your arm tells a story about your heritage and your values. In my experience, officers who understand the weight of their family history often bring a depth of commitment that can't be taught in any classroom." Sarah found herself sharing details about her grandmother's wartime experiences and how those stories had shaped her own understanding of courage and duty. Morrison listened intently, occasionally asking questions that demonstrated his genuine interest in her background. The conversation revealed that his own grandfather had served in the Pacific Theater during World War II, creating an unexpected connection between their family histories. "I'm assigning you to lead the actual training exercise based on your tactical plan," Morrison announced. "You'll have operational command of 32 personnel, including several officers who questioned your qualifications on Tuesday. This will be your opportunity to demonstrate that excellent planning translates into effective leadership under pressure." The assignment represented a significant advancement opportunity, but it also came with substantial risks. Leading a complex operation with skeptical subordinates required not only tactical expertise but also exceptional interpersonal skills and unwavering confidence. Sarah accepted the challenge without hesitation, understanding that success would open doors throughout her career while failure could limit her future opportunities. Over the following week, Sarah threw herself into operational preparation with the same intensity she had applied to tactical planning. She met individually with each team member to discuss their roles and address any concerns about the mission parameters. Some officers expressed genuine enthusiasm for the innovative approaches she had developed, while others remained politely skeptical about her leadership capabilities. Captain Williams proved to be her most challenging subordinate, consistently questioning her decisions and suggesting alternative approaches that would effectively undermine her tactical framework. During one particularly tense planning session, he openly suggested that a more experienced officer should take operational command while Sarah served in an advisory capacity. Sarah addressed his concerns directly but professionally, explaining her reasoning for each tactical decision and demonstrating how his suggested modifications would create unnecessary risks for the team. She refused to be drawn into personal conflicts, instead focusing on mission objectives and team safety. Her measured responses gradually earned the respect of other team members, who began to see her leadership style as thoughtful rather than hesitant. The training exercise was scheduled for the following Thursday at a specialized facility designed to simulate real-world hostage rescue scenarios. The complex featured multiple buildings, variable lighting conditions, and sophisticated audiovisual systems that could replicate the stress and confusion of actual combat situations. Success would require flawless coordination between ground teams, precise timing, and adaptive decision-making under pressure. During the final briefing session, Sarah outlined the mission timeline and emphasized the importance of communication protocols. She had studied each team member's strengths and weaknesses, assigning roles that would maximize their effectiveness while compensating for potential vulnerabilities. Her attention to these details impressed even her critics, who began to recognize the thoroughness of her preparation. The night before the exercise, Sarah received an unexpected visit from Commander Morrison, who wanted to discuss her readiness for the leadership challenge ahead. Their conversation revealed his own experiences with overcoming prejudice early in his career, when some colleagues questioned whether his academic background had prepared him for the realities of special operations. "Tomorrow morning, you'll face the same test that every leader in this community has confronted," Morrison explained. "Your planning is excellent, but real leadership emerges when operations don't go according to plan. Your team will be watching to see how you respond to unexpected challenges and whether you can maintain operational effectiveness under pressure." Morrison's words carried the weight of hard-earned experience, and Sarah understood that she was being entrusted with more than just a training exercise. Her performance would influence how future leaders approached diversity and inclusion within the special operations community. Success would demonstrate that excellence comes in many forms, while failure could reinforce existing prejudices. Early Thursday morning, Sarah arrived at the training facility to conduct final equipment checks and review weather conditions that might affect the operation. The scenario involved rescuing 3 hostages from a multi-story building while neutralizing an unknown number of hostile forces. Intelligence reports were deliberately incomplete, requiring tactical flexibility and real-time decision-making. As team members arrived and began their pre-mission preparations, Sarah noticed subtle changes in their attitudes toward her leadership. Officers who had initially seemed skeptical now approached her with genuine questions about tactical details, while others offered suggestions that demonstrated their investment in the mission's success. Even Captain Williams appeared more focused on operational requirements than on undermining her authority. The exercise began at precisely 0900 hours with Sarah's team positioned at 3 different entry points around the target building. Radio communications crackled with status reports as each unit moved into position according to the predetermined timeline. Sarah monitored the operation from a command post that provided visual oversight of the entire facility while maintaining direct communication with all team elements. 15 minutes into the exercise, the first unexpected challenge emerged when the simulation controllers introduced a wounded civilian scenario that wasn't included in the original briefing materials. This development required immediate tactical adjustments and split-second decision-making that would test Sarah's ability to adapt her carefully planned approach. Sarah quickly assessed the new information and issued modified instructions that maintained the operation's core objectives while addressing the additional complication. Her calm, clear communication helped the team adjust their approach without losing momentum or compromising safety protocols. The smooth adaptation impressed observers who had expected confusion or hesitation from a relatively inexperienced leader. 25 minutes into the exercise, a second complication arose when one of the entry teams reported equipment malfunctions that affected their ability to proceed according to the original timeline. This development threatened to disrupt the entire operation's synchronization, potentially leading to mission failure or simulated casualties. Rather than abandoning her tactical framework, Sarah implemented one of several contingency plans she had developed during her preparation phase. She redistributed team responsibilities and modified entry sequences in real time, demonstrating the flexibility that Morrison had emphasized as essential for effective leadership. Her ability to maintain operational cohesion while adapting to unexpected circumstances showcased skills that many officers took years to develop. The final phase of the exercise tested Sarah's decision-making under extreme time pressure when simulation controllers introduced intelligence suggesting that the hostages would be moved to a different location within minutes. This scenario forced her to choose between proceeding with the original plan or implementing a completely different approach based on unconfirmed information. Sarah made the difficult decision to trust her team's capabilities and pursue the new intelligence, rapidly coordinating a modified assault that required unprecedented cooperation between previously separate units. The successful execution of this impromptu tactical shift resulted in all hostages being rescued without simulated casualties, achieving the exercise's primary objectives despite multiple unexpected complications. As the simulation concluded and equipment was secured, Sarah felt a mixture of relief and satisfaction that was tempered by uncertainty about how her performance would be evaluated. The exercise had tested every aspect of her leadership abilities, from technical planning to interpersonal communication, and she knew that her future opportunities would largely depend on the assessment she received from Morrison and other senior observers. The immediate feedback from team members was overwhelmingly positive, with several officers expressing surprise at how effectively she had adapted to changing circumstances. Even Captain Williams approached her after the exercise to acknowledge that her tactical decisions had been sound and her leadership had maintained team cohesion throughout the operation. However, Sarah understood that the real evaluation would come from the senior leadership review that would determine whether her successful exercise performance translated into broader recognition within the special operations community. The next phase of her journey would test whether institutional barriers could be overcome through demonstrated excellence alone. The formal evaluation session took place 3 days after the training exercise, giving senior leadership time to review video recordings and analyze performance metrics from multiple perspectives. Sarah had spent those 3 days maintaining her normal routine while internally replaying every decision she had made during the operation, wondering if different choices might have yielded better outcomes. Commander Morrison called her into his office on Monday morning with an expression that revealed nothing about the evaluation results. The meeting was scheduled for 30 minutes, but Sarah had no indication whether this would be a brief dismissal of her performance or an extended discussion of future opportunities. Lieutenant Chen, I've completed my assessment of Thursday's exercise, and I've consulted with the other senior officers who observed your performance, Morrison began, settling back in his chair with a thick folder of documents. Before I share the official evaluation, I want you to understand the context of what you accomplished. Morrison explained that the training exercise had been significantly more challenging than Sarah realized. The simulation controllers had been instructed to introduce complications at a rate typically reserved for officers with several years of operational experience. The equipment malfunctions and intelligence changes she had navigated were specifically designed to test adaptive leadership under extreme pressure. Your tactical plan was excellent, but your real-time decision-making during the exercise exceeded our expectations, Morrison continued. You demonstrated the kind of flexible leadership that we need in today's complex operational environment. More importantly, you earned the genuine respect of 32 officers, including some who had serious doubts about your capabilities. The evaluation results showed that Sarah's performance had ranked in the top 10% of all officers who had conducted similar exercises over the previous 2 years. Her ability to maintain team cohesion while adapting to unexpected circumstances had particularly impressed evaluators, who noted that many experienced leaders struggled with the same challenges she had navigated successfully. Morrison then revealed information that surprised Sarah completely. Her assignment to the tactical planning project hadn't been random. Several senior leaders had specifically requested her involvement after reviewing her academic achievements and previous performance evaluations. The comments about her tattoo had provided an opportunity to test her resilience under pressure, but they hadn't influenced the decision to give her increased responsibilities. The truth is, Lieutenant, we've been watching your development for some time. Your analytical skills and attention to detail have been consistently outstanding, but we needed to see how you would perform under leadership pressure. Thursday's exercise confirmed what we already suspected: you have the potential for significant advancement within this community. The conversation took another unexpected turn when Morrison mentioned that Rear Admiral Patricia Hayes, the first woman to achieve flag rank in naval special warfare, had specifically requested a meeting with Sarah. Admiral Hayes had built her career by consistently exceeding performance expectations while navigating institutional barriers that hadn't existed for her male counterparts. Admiral Hayes believes that excellence speaks louder than prejudice, but only when that excellence is demonstrated consistently over time, Morrison explained. She's interested in discussing your career development and potential participation in advanced leadership programs. Sarah felt overwhelmed by the magnitude of opportunities that were suddenly becoming available. She had focused so intently on proving herself worthy of basic acceptance that she hadn't considered the possibility of rapid advancement or specialized assignments that could accelerate her career trajectory. The meeting with Admiral Hayes was scheduled for the following week at Naval Special Warfare Headquarters. The Admiral's reputation preceded her. She was known throughout the military for her strategic thinking, uncompromising standards, and commitment to developing talented officers regardless of their background or personal characteristics. During the intervening days, Sarah researched Admiral Hayes' career path and studied her published articles on leadership and tactical innovation. She also spent considerable time reflecting on her own goals and considering how the opportunities being presented aligned with her long-term aspirations within the special operations community. The meeting with Admiral Hayes exceeded Sarah's expectations in every way. Rather than a formal evaluation session, their conversation evolved into a wide-ranging discussion of leadership challenges, tactical innovation, and the evolving role of special operations in modern military conflicts. The Admiral's questions revealed a deep understanding of the exercise Sarah had conducted and genuine interest in her analytical approaches to complex problems. Lieutenant Chen, your recent performance has caught the attention of several senior leaders who believe you have the potential for accelerated advancement, Admiral Hayes explained. However, I want to be clear about what that opportunity entails. Rapid promotion within our community requires not only exceptional performance but also the ability to serve as a role model for other officers who may face similar challenges. The Admiral outlined a potential career path that included specialized training programs, advanced tactical assignments, and leadership positions that would test Sarah's abilities at increasingly complex levels. The opportunity was extraordinary, but it came with the understanding that her continued success would influence how the special operations community approached diversity and inclusion in the future. Your tattoo became a symbol of the prejudices you've encountered, but your response to those challenges demonstrated something much more important, Admiral Hayes continued. You showed that excellence transcends superficial judgments and that true leadership emerges when individuals focus on mission accomplishment rather than personal validation. Admiral Hayes shared her own experiences with overcoming institutional barriers during her early career, including incidents where colleagues questioned her capabilities based on gender rather than performance. Her advice emphasized the importance of maintaining professional focus while never allowing others' limitations to diminish personal confidence or ambition. The conversation concluded with Admiral Hayes offering Sarah a position in an elite tactical development program that would prepare selected officers for the most challenging assignments within the special operations community. Acceptance would require a 3-year commitment and successful completion of training programs that had historically high failure rates. Sarah accepted the opportunity without hesitation, understanding that this represented the kind of career advancement that typically took decades to achieve through conventional channels. Her success in proving herself worthy of respect had opened doors that would allow her to contribute to the community's evolution while pursuing her own professional goals. The news of Sarah's selection for the advanced program spread quickly throughout the base, generating reactions that ranged from genuine congratulations to barely concealed envy. Captain Williams, who had been her most persistent critic, approached her with what appeared to be sincere respect for her achievements, acknowledging that his initial judgments had been unfair and unprofessional. More importantly, Sarah began receiving messages from other officers who had faced similar challenges related to their background, appearance, or personal characteristics. Her success had demonstrated that institutional barriers could be overcome through persistent excellence, providing hope and inspiration for colleagues who had previously felt excluded from advancement opportunities. 6 months later, Sarah found herself leading tactical training sessions for newly assigned officers, sharing the lessons she had learned about resilience, preparation, and maintaining professional focus under pressure. Her dragon tattoo had become a conversation starter rather than a source of whispered criticism, with many officers asking about its cultural significance and the family history it represented. The transformation in how her colleagues viewed her personal expression reflected a broader shift within the special operations community toward recognizing that diversity strengthened rather than weakened tactical effectiveness. Officers with different backgrounds brought unique perspectives that enhanced problem-solving capabilities and improved operational outcomes. Commander Morrison, who had played such a crucial role in Sarah's development, was promoted to captain and assigned to lead a new tactical innovation program. During his farewell dinner, he specifically mentioned Sarah's contributions to changing institutional culture and improving the community's approach to identifying and developing talented leaders. Lieutenant Chen's success represents something much larger than individual achievement, Morrison told the assembled officers. She demonstrated that our community becomes stronger when we evaluate people based on their capabilities rather than our assumptions. Her dragon tattoo tells a story of heritage and courage, qualities that make our entire organization more effective. The evening concluded with Sarah reflecting on the journey that had brought her from facing whispered criticisms to earning genuine respect from colleagues who had once questioned her qualifications. Her grandmother's lessons about perseverance and honor had proven prophetic strength revealed through action spoke louder than prejudice expressed through ignorance. As Sarah prepared for her next assignment, which would involve developing tactical protocols for international cooperation missions, she understood that her experiences had prepared her for challenges that extended far beyond personal advancement. Her success had contributed to institutional change that would benefit future officers who deserved evaluation based on merit rather than superficial characteristics. The dragon tattoo on her forearm continued to represent her family's legacy of courage, but it now also symbolized something new: the power of individual excellence to transform organizational culture. Her story had become part of the Special Operations community's evolving narrative about leadership, diversity, and the importance of recognizing talent regardless of its packaging. Years later, when Admiral Hayes had officially retired and Sarah was being considered for her own senior leadership positions, colleagues would remember the day when a young lieutenant with a dragon tattoo proved that honor and capability couldn't be judged by appearance. Her legacy would inspire future generations of officers to pursue excellence while remaining proud of their heritage and personal expression. The transformation was complete. From being dismissed because of her tattoo to being respected for her character, Sarah had not only achieved her personal goals but had also contributed to making the Special Operations community more inclusive and effective. Her grandmother's spirit lived on through her service, proving that courage and wisdom could overcome any barrier when applied with persistence and honor.